Hi, everyone. So, I have a new product for you to take part in. This is for J Armor wallets. Now, you can get these wallets for a pretty good price. Partially, it seems at this point, partially American made, but they're going to be planning to be completely American made by the year 2027. The fun part is that you can actually see what new wallet styles are going to be coming in 2026. So a little bit about the company. The company was founded by Jake Hernandez, who is also a part of the U.S. Air Force veteran, or he is a U.S. Air Force veteran. So with his business, he is also supporting charities like anti-child labor organizations, veteran support programs, and efforts to rebuild American manufacturing. So this is clearly something that is very important to him, and honestly, really important to me as well. And for going to the link in the show notes, which I will say what that link is in a minute, but going to the link in the show notes not only helps support this podcast, but is also helping to support J Armor as well as helping support the charities that he finds near and dear to him. So if you go to the show notes and you find that link, the link is jarmorwallets.com/reality times 2. So that is j-armorwallets.com/REALITIMESTWO. So I hope you go on and support not only me, but as well as this company. Now, that's enough of me. Let's go back to the episode. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/realityt times 2. Patreon going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing Age of Attraction episode 3. So that's what we're going to be doing. Before we do that, I do want to talk about this because I've been hearing the rumblings, I've been seeing the posts, I've been seeing all of this, and of course we did cover the show, so I want to talk about it. So I'm sure everyone has heard that Jesse and Jordan from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives are getting a divorce. Thank God. Apparently, Jordan was cheating. Pot beat kettle. Anyways, um, so that's happening. Good for her. I'm proud of her. I hope all goes smoothly. I hope that prenup has been figured out. I hope the whole thing. But what I'm not too keen on here is that apparently Jesse and Chase, yes, Chase, Miranda's ex-husband, were kissing at a party quite recently. Make it all make sense. Jesse hated Chase. That is, most of these people apparently hated Chase as early as recent as January of this year. Make it make sense. Anyways, that happened. And then Chase apologizes to Miranda. Jesse sends her apology flowers. Doesn't even actually say anything to her. What? And the thing is that people online want to compare, like, oh, well, Layla did it too, and, whatever. Like, Taylor had something with Chase too. Okay, but the difference is, and I honestly forgot the timeline, I don't think we ever actually saw her and Chase together on the show. We just heard that they were, I think as of season 2, I believe. So right when Miranda was slowly making her way back in, and we already heard that point that Layla and Chase had sex. So the point of this timeline here is they weren't friends. It's a little different. You're not necessarily disrespecting somebody in any way because you're not friends with them. Jesse is. And then we hear a Shania. She's just because she also had sex with Chase near months before this happened. I'm sorry. I have to ask the question, and I think I've asked this on the podcast before. Is there no other men in Utah than Dakota and Chase? Nobody? Lord. Like, oh, and I think obviously with Shania, this is worse because they are supposed to be best of friends, and then here you go, having sex with your best friend's husband? That's grimy as shit. Apparently, they ain't friends no more. Could have told you that. Could have told you that. Like, wow. That's worse than Jesse for sure. But, like, Jesse girl, what? What is going on? So, Miranda's obviously says, like, listen, we're exes, we're co-parents, we're not, like, whatever. He can do whatever. Her biggest issue, obviously, is Jesse, who's supposed to be her friend, breaking girl code, kissing her ex-husband. That's the issue here. So I guess we will see, or maybe not see, what the aftermath of that is. Listen, I think they should just keep Secret Life of Mormon Wives, take Taylor out if we need to, and let's keep this going because listen, this is juicy. This is juicy. I don't want to spin off Secret Lives of Mormon Wives with Jen Affleck and Zach. No one wants that. No one asks for that. I'm not gonna watch it. I tell you that right now. I don't like Jen. I am watching it. I'm not saying I don't like Jen, but she's not one that I would rush to see. Out of all of those people, the only ones I would rush to see is Whitney, Miranda, maybe Jesse. That's kind of it. That's it. I don't care about Jen. Um, But anyways, that is my little, hot goss. Let's just jump into the episode now, y'all. So episode 3. So we left off with finding out about Jorge's age, his age being 60, her being 27. And I wrote, well, daddy ain't gonna like this one. He sure ain't. So, and she says, like, you look so young, which is true. He does. He don't look 60. He looks like he's maybe in, I would say, late 40s. I can't remember what my guess was for him, but I think I guessed, I'm looking to see what I guessed for him. Um, hmm, yeah, I guessed 48 for him. So that's kind of when I'm thinking he looks amazing. Black don't crack. We know this. But 60, it don't change the fact that the man is 60. And this ain't gonna go good. Not with her parents. He asks, does that affect you? Like his age, does that affect you? She says it's shocking. He said, but does it scare you? Let the woman process. She says, if I'm being honest, and you're thinking, oh, she gonna end this? But instead she says, I wasn't meant to be with someone like you. Someone who is 30 plus years her senior, apparently. But I know she's meaning more who he is as a person. So yeah, there's a 33-year age gap between them, the biggest age gap of the entire cast that we're gonna have. She says he is literally the same age as my parents, and that's when again said, "This ain't gonna go good for your parents." Like, ain't no parent in the universe that is going to be okay with their daughter or children in general getting involved with a person who is the same age as them. Like, nobody. Y'all have to do the same stuff. Like, it's not gonna happen. So we have Pfeiffer and Derek. He tells her about his kids, and she asks, do you want more kids? Because I want kids. And he says yes, that he would be, open to having more kids. And so there's no issues there. They're fine. We have Chris and Leah. Okay, I'm gonna wait on Chris and Leah because I got things to say, but obviously I'll wait. Oh, I didn't talk about whether or not I feel like I did kind of talk about whether or not I think Jorge and Vanilla are gonna make it, but just to spell it out for everybody, it's a no. Merely because of her parents. Her parents are going to disown her if she goes through with this. I'm telling you that. So this ain't gonna work. Anyways, back to Leah and Chris. I will be talking about them when we get to it because I have questions. Anyways, he's massaging her and she asks him, when did you last massage someone? And he said, well, like this is just me trying to remember how to do it. But to us, he says, yeah, so I was clearly dodging that question because I was massaging Vanessa in the spa a couple of days ago. So here's the thing, and I don't know if Leah will ever be able to connect this later on. I'm giving away too much here, but don't lie. Just be honest. You're in this experiment. You're obviously going to, get along with more than one person potentially at one point. So just, get out there and tell her the truth. The fact that he isn't telling the truth lends me to believe that he is immature and maybe even an F boy. But I'm gonna go definitely with immaturity. I don't quite know if he's an F boy. I think he's just woefully unprepared for what he's about to get into, personally. So then we have Wes and Jolene going into the promise room. This is the twist of the century because I didn't know y'all could do this. So, okay, here we go. So my guess for him is 30. My guess for her was 40. When he asks, are you ready to commit? And she says, listen, our connection is great and everything. Like he goes through this big spiel of how great their connection is and everything. Like I actually like him, and I do think she jumped the gun with this. Let's get to it. So yeah, she said, I think our connection is great, but I'm not ready to commit to moving in with each other. She said, I think you're younger than me. No shit, ma'am. This is what you're here for. The show is called Age of Attraction. The fact that age is nothing but a number. This is the premise. Did you not listen to Nick and Natalie talk about this? Like, I'm confused. This is the whole point of the show, you know? Um, what no other way you've put this, whether you are, into dating older people and you date an older person, or you're into older people, but you end up with a younger person, like whichever it is, this is the whole point of the show. And you're acting shocked and confused that he's younger. Like, what in the Jesus? I was like, wait a minute. But so she says that, and she's like, I do think you do have a lot of growing up to do. And honestly, I found that a little insulting, I think, only because do I think that maybe he has, I wouldn't call it growing up to do. You don't know him enough to come to that conclusion. I think what is a better thing to say in this instance is he has a lot of like learning how to communicate with people a little bit more because he could be fully grown, but to still not know how to communicate properly with the opposite sex. I think that's not unusual. So for her to say he has a lot of growing up to do, I'm sorry, but I don't think you know these people enough to come to that conclusion ever. She thinks there are mature parts to him, but he's not quite there. And he asks, do you want to know how old I am? And he is 30. I got that right. And she is 48. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting she was closer to 50 because she has the age in her face, but she does look so young. So I wasn't quite expecting that. Neither was he. But he is definitely disappointed that she gave up before they even started. And that's the thing. I think that is exactly what she did. You're in an experiment here. You feel awkward about living together. Okay, fine. But you also don't have to, like, if whatever the aspect of that is, whether it's sleeping in the same bed or whatever it is, you don't have to do any of that. Okay, you could sleep separately, get to know each other. I don't know why she's making this a bigger deal than it needs to be. I guess that's what I'm getting at. And you're not getting married at the end of this. You're just seeing what can happen. Get to know this person a bit more. I do think, like I said before, she jumped the gun here. And also, um, judging him about how he communicates, um, to and something he says that I have been dealing with. Now, he could be a piece of shit. Who knows? But I actually believed him when he's like, I'm a flirty guy, but I do want something serious. Like, you can be flirty and want something serious. I I I just didn't like how she handled this. I didn't. Um, so she says, I am bolder than him. No shit, we know this. And I have been married and I do have kids. And she says, age doesn't have to be a parameter as long as you have life experiences. But you don't know if he has life experiences. You're basing, like, really, truly, he's only going to give you what he's willing to give you. You are basing what you think is the truth versus what may actually be the truth. I just, I don't know. I found her a little judgmental without fully knowing the stuff. Like, I feel like taking however long they're in the apartments with each other, that's when you can also find out if there's depth. That's when you can find out if there's more to him. He may be 30, but that does not mean he hasn't dealt with life experiences. Listen, we all lived through COVID. That's a freaking life experience. You know what I mean? Um, but I don't know what I can say that I went through by 30. Well, actually, yes, I can. By 30, I had been married, divorced, tried to sponsor my ex here, that failed. I, struggled through getting jobs. I went through certain things. I went through my own health stuff that I had been dealing with since I was a child. I went through things. Now, there are people who haven't gone through things, but like really big things, but I don't think that's a requirement. I don't. Um, so yeah, and again, in the span of the last 5 years since then, again, lived through COVID and also dealing with my mom's major health scares and going through my journey to become a parent and all of this, like a lot has happened, and you can't judge a person based on their cover. And that's what I feel like she did. But, anyways, let me get off of this and move on to the next. So, Derek tells us that his parents' relationship has had a lasting effect on him, not for the good. They split when his mom was 8 months pregnant with him. The only room he says that they have all been in together was a courtroom, and that broke my heart. I'm like, oh my goodness. So Vanessa is talking to a guy named Logan. Okay, when she's going through her engagements, she's been engaged multiple times. She's like, yeah, I was engaged once, actually, twice. You were engaged twice. Yeah, actually, 3 times. I think it was 3 times. And then he says, "Girl, you've been collecting rings like J-Lo." It's fucking funny. That's funny. Um, then she says, "Actually, it was 4. You don't even know how many times a man dropped down to his knee and said, 'Will you marry me?'" Really? Wow. Now we got Derek and Pfeiffer going into the promise room. So my guess so Derek was a tougher one for me because I could tell he's older, but not too older. Too older? You know what I mean? And obviously I can tell she's young, so she's not too hard for me. But he was harder because he has like this Usher Raymond look to him, like in his face where it's like, it's hard to know how old you are, although you could see Usher's age in his face. Now, him, I couldn't. When I mean Usher Raymond, I mean Usher Raymond when he was doing My Way. Okay. That's the look he was having. And I'm like, I can't figure out his age. So I said my guess for him was 40, and then for her was 25. So they exchanged the ring. Now for the fun part, what's their ages? I was real close. He's 43 and she is 23. So there is a 20-year age gap between the two. Doesn't bother either of them because it's about the life experiences and she's been through life. She's been through life. So he is he is okay. So whether or not I think they're going to be fine, I think they will be. I think they actually would be. They're going to probably deal with some bumps along the way. I think there are going to be people who are going to have some reservations about set choices, but I think they're going to be okay. I do. Okay. So we are with Logan and Vanessa. She's hoping that she didn't scare him away with their last conversation, that being about 4 engagements. He's trying to do the mental math, I guess. I guess about her age. Like, I don't know what her engagements have to do with anything, but he's freaking out about her age, which again, I'm going to give him the same heat that I gave Jolene a second ago. This is the show. Why are you freaking out about her age? This is the show. So he says, "What have your thoughts been with all of this because, like, I mean, you have to have thoughts. All of a sudden, y'all, I don't see anything wrong with his questioning about this. I think there's a valid question in this being like, what are your thoughts about dating a younger person? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Instead, y'all, she gets insulted by his question. She's going to annoy me throughout this. So she's insulted by the question, but he says, with someone older, they have had life experiences that come with the age. And I think that is what he's concerned about. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. This girl needs to take it down a notch. Anyways, so then we have Leah and Chris going into the promise room. I don't understand. I don't understand. I will save it because I will say whether or not I think this is going to work. My guess for her was 45, and I think Chris is 28. So they exchange the rings. He is 26, so 2 years younger than my guess, and she is 41. Which she's shocked by even that. I thought, okay, she's definitely older, but she looks like she's in her 30s. That girl is not in her 30s though. So I'm definitely thinking she's in her 40s. But we're all still shocked by the fact that she's 41. So there is a 15-year age gap. Do I think these two are going to be working? No. No. I don't get them. I don't understand why she's picked him or he's picked her. I don't see the chemistry with these two. I don't understand why they are a thing. So, yeah, it's a no for me, for them. So, we are with Vanessa and Logan, and he is over his fears now about her age. So, let's get off with it. So, they are now headed to the promise room. Um, Again, with them, same thing. I don't see it. Like, I see it a little bit more than I knew with Leah and Chris, but again, I still don't see it. Like, it's weird for me. I don't get them. Anyway, my guess for them is that Logan is 35. It's way off of that. And Vanessa is 50. That is my guess. Anyway, they exchange the rings, and now let's get to it. He's actually 29. Okay. Whoa. She is 49. So I was close with her. So there is a 20-year age gap between the two. So we're at the end now of all of our couples. I think I already went into whether or not Vanessa and Logan were going to work, but again, I'll spell it out for you. It's a no. But but that's the end. We have all of our couples here. We'll have 6 of them. So we kind of just go through the what we didn't see during this, because of course we had more than just these people. But they said that there were people who actually found love within their age group. Because that was definitely a question I had. I'm like, are there going to be people who are going to find love within their age group? And lo and behold, there were. So um, we're now headed into the real world. And I guess we're still in BC, I'm going to assume. Like maybe we're in like either Victoria or Vancouver. I don't know exactly where Whistler is in comparison. So maybe we're in one of the major cities. But yeah, that's where we're headed. I'm assuming that's where we're headed. We're meeting up as a group. They're all going to be staying within the same area. So they're all going to be still like pretty confined into this experiment. So we got Logan and Vanessa, and Chris and Logan. Did I say Chris and Logan? Chris and Leah. So they're just talking about the journey thus far. And then the topic of, did Vanessa and Chris kiss? We know they did because they had that spa thing. And they're like, well, yeah. And Leah is upset about this because she's questioning, like, why didn't I know about this? Clearly, Logan knew because he's making commentary as if he didn't know. So Vanessa told Logan, and I believe that's true because I believe we heard her say to him, like, yeah, I did have a connection with Chris, didn't go nowhere, that's that. And so, yeah, like, why lie about that, I guess? Or not? Well, we saw him actively withhold the information. So she's going to be addressing that topic with him later, because that ain't cool. Um, and again, I think that's a hit on him as a person, especially what he'll say later. And number two, it's also a hit on your relationship. It goes to show that y'all really don't know each other. And it's interesting because when we hear from the other people who talk about Leah and Chris and their compatibility, I believe it was Libby, who's like, there's definitely a physical connection, but whether or not a physical connection can withstand the test of time is to be seen. I personally say it's a no. So anyway, we then find out that there's another man in this group of people who has withheld information as well. I kid you not, I thought he told her, but apparently not. And this person is on the other spectrum of age, being 60, that being Jorge. Jorge has not told her that he has kids. What the hell is happening here? Why didn't you tell her? That's literally what I'm thinking. Why didn't he tell her? He thinks that maybe she assumes there's kids. I think he's trying to make himself feel better. But she, on the other hand, in a separate conversation, is saying she doesn't think he has kids. And she's basing that on the fact that he said, I don't want to have children outside of marriage. So she's assuming, well, as far as I know, he's never been married. So there's no kids. That's what she's thinking. He says he did tell me. Oh, I said that already. So yeah, that is what's about to happen. And he will be telling her very soon. But that is where we end this episode. So yeah, we'll see how things go for the next one. But that is it for me, y'all. That is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Reality T times 2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Reality times 2 pod. I believe you can email me at realityt times 2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/reality times 2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you could tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality T times 2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro. But the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, where we do things a little differently, you can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, you go solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.